How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Voro Motors. I'm AJ Hart, here with another guide to maintain your ride. Now, if you have the Emove Touring, I'm sure you've been taking it out for a lot of little rides. You know, it's got a great range to it, it's nice, it's small, it's lightweight, and it's easy to just mob the hell out of. So, you're probably going to need to maintain it eventually. And right now, we're all stuck inside, we're stuck at home, so it's a good time to just go ahead and make sure that all your bolts look good. I've already given you guys a little video about how to maintain the brakes on the Touring, and there's a link to that either in the description or with the card up top now. But I figured I would go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a rundown of the rest of the screws on the Touring, so you can maintain those as well. It's super easy to just go from the top down. So let's get into it. First things first, something a lot of people are going to notice is that you may have too much play in your handlebar. You know, it might jiggle around when you grab it. But luckily that's really easy. You're just going to pull it out and fold the handlebar down. Grab an Allen wrench, and the little screw inside, you actually want to loosen it. The idea being that this screw, once it's loosened up, is going to fill the space in between the handlebar and this rim here. I loosened it a little bit too much, so we're just going to go ahead and go back in, tighten it down a smidge. Nope, still a little too loose because it's not popping down and in. Tighten it a little bit more. There we go. There's a little bit of play, so we're just going to try it one more time. I'm going to turn it back like just a hair. There we go. No play. Perfect. And I would just go ahead and do that with both sides of the handlebar, just to make sure that you're nice and snug on both sides. Now, one issue you may start to notice is your handlebars and your wheel not being aligned. This is a pretty big issue. And this is going to be adjusted by these 4 bolts on the bottom and the 4 nuts on the opposite end. What you're going to want to do is make sure that those are loose, put the wheel between your feet, and turn the bar to try to straighten it out. Now, you're not trying to straighten out the handlebars so much as you're trying to make sure that the pins and the pin holes are in line with the wheel. Once it's straight, you're going to need to start tightening down these 4 screws. On the left side, you can use an Allen wrench, but on the right side, you're going to need something a little bit tighter to actually grab hold of the nuts. I have a pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm going to use those to grab on. And we're just going to go down and tighten all 4 of these screws. There we go. Now, you may notice a little bit of wobble on the stem. This is a little bit normal because the stem has more wobble than the cruiser, but this feels more than normal. If you come down to the folding mechanism and you wiggle it, you can see that there's a little bit more play against the deck than I would like. That's because these screws here are getting loose. So we're going to go ahead and tighten them. There's going to be 6 screws total, 2 on each side and 2 smaller screws on the front. Just use an Allen wrench and tighten all of these screws down. And of course, you're going to need a smaller Allen wrench for these 2 smaller screws here in the front. And once this is done, you should feel significantly less play with the stem. Now, you may notice that the rear suspension back here is getting a bit too loose. So in order to fix that, we're going to pull the wheel up a little bit, and you're going to notice these 2 screws on each side. We're going to go ahead and tighten those down. So lift it up, put the Allen wrench in, and tighten that suspension down. There's going to be 4 screws in total, 2 on each side. So we're going to do these ones back here as well. You're going to notice 4 more screws that kind of connect the housing of the wheel to the deck. We're going to go ahead and tighten those 4 screws too. 1 against the black and 1 against the orange, and 2 on the opposite side that are the same. Now, you may notice a little bit of play here with the black plastic that is the housing for the lights. This is because of these 3 screws on the side. So we're just going to take an Allen wrench, slide it into the hole and tighten down each of these screws. There's going to be 3 for this housing, and there's going to be 3 for the housing on the opposite end. And last but not least, if you've been noticing that your kickstand wiggles, that probably needs to be tightened too. So we're just going to go ahead and tighten that down. Good to go. Now of course, last but certainly not least, we need to keep in mind the front wheel and the rear wheel. I've already done a video about the rear wheel and replacing the brakes on the back there. And there's already been a video on the channel about replacing the front wheel. Now you don't need to worry about replacing the rear wheel tire because it's a solid wheel and there's not a tube on the inside. That's usually where we get most of our flats, so we figured the back tire would work best on the Touring as a solid wheel. On the front, it is still an air wheel with a tube. So we do have a video on the channel already about how to replace your tires, and I'm going to go ahead and link that now. But beyond that, we're done with the maintenance. If you noticed any screws or any parts that might have been missing or busted while you were maintaining it, go ahead and send us an email at support@voromotors.com and we can look into helping you get those replaced. If you have any questions or concerns about your scooter that you came up with while doing this, go ahead and drop those into the comments down below. If you have any ideas for other videos you'd like to see us do, go ahead and drop those into the comments down below too. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It would mean a whole lot to us. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video helps, and I hope you enjoy your ride.